Now, the Zip 22 sucks. I don't really like it. I mean, I just one-tapped with the Zip. What? How am I still alive? Okay, he's good. Oh my gosh, dude, stop. Let me reload. So hello gamers and welcome back to another Phantom Forces video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the fastest gun in every single category. Let's go for 1,000 likes. Let's just get into it with the G11 or assault rifle. I mean, literally got 2100 RPM. I don't think any assault rifle is going to beat this for the longest time, except for one gun that is infinite. This was by far the fastest. Now, there are some other really fast guns that are close, if not more. However, for assault rifle, this is still the fastest. I don't think I really need to talk about this too much because it's the G11. It has 2100 RPM and it literally can one-shot to the torso with 3 bullets, and I think I talked about it in should be a video from like 2 days ago, so it doesn't really matter. Now our next one is actually the AK-12 battle rifle on burst. It has 1000 RPM, but it's very difficult to get down. It's only a 2-shot burst, and this used to be so broken. That's the reason I actually have so many kills on this gun. I have not used this in nearly a year, actually maybe more than a year. Ever since they nerfed the hyper burst, this was very difficult to like completely go off with like you used to be able to, but it is a very high RPM burst, and you can still kind of use it, but it's just not quite as good because, you know, you actually gotta like try. It does do some pretty good damage. It can 3-hit kill to very far, like 100 studs, 2-hit kill head to a pretty decent range, maybe about the same range. Does 39 damage to 25, so it can 4-hit kill all ranges. It doesn't do amazing damage for a battle rifle. However, it shoots very fast even on auto. 700 RPM is one of the higher fire rate battle rifles. However, like things like the M14 have beat it out. But for burst, this is a very good gun. Before you could actually just burst an entire magazine out at this RPM, you can tell that would be very broken considering it's even good now and it has this crazy delay. For carbine, we have the PPK-12, which yeah, it has a burst delay as well. This gun used to be very broken. It's still very good. Same concept as the AK-12BR. Right behind it is the Hk51b and X95r. Those are automatic guns and have 950, but this has 1000. If you guys have been subbed to my channel for more than like a month, you know that this gun used to be super broken, literally like the best gun in the entire game. I talked about it getting a burst delay or worse damage ranges or 16 damage, and they actually experimented with all of those, and now it has worse damage ranges and a burst delay. This gun is very balanced now. It can kind of be considered like an M4 upgrade, kind of a little bit more RPM and stuff, but some downsides. Overall, it is a lot better than it was before, at least for balancing sake. Obviously, it's a worse gun than it was before, but before it was so incredibly broken that I'm glad it got a change. The default gun is still pretty balanced with it now. Before, it was basically just a direct upgrade to the default gun with better recoil, better RPM, better damage, same hits to kill, but it could 2-shot headshot, 3-hit kill farther, and it was completely ridiculous. Now it's a little bit better. Still is pretty decent overall, but yeah, most of the shotguns are very low RPM. Most people will think of the AA-12 as the fastest at 300, but it's not even close. Saiga is faster at 350. Then you have something like the E-gun, which can have up to 3000, but that's not even the best one. The best one is actually the Stevens DB. This has an instant burst, which this is 2 bullets. I've talked about this in top 10 highest RPM guns. If you don't consider this to be a real burst, which it is technically, I mean, the AN94 has a 2-shot burst, which is basically this. Yes, it is 2 triggers being pulled. However, it is essentially a 2-shot burst. That's why I think it counts as a 2-shot burst. However, if you don't believe that, it's the E-gun. I remember originally when I said this is the infinity RPM gun, which it is, instant burst, which means it has infinity RPM. But, you know, it is a 2-shot burst. In my opinion, that means it's infinity RPM. This is 2 triggers being pulled. As you can see, there are 2 triggers there, and theoretically, you would be pulling both of them to fire both shots at the same time, which is infinite RPM, technically speaking. In my opinion, that counts. If you don't think that counts, though, here you have, yeah, that's the RPM of this one. It feels like it's less than the G11 for some reason, but it is 5 bullets being fired here and at a way higher rate of fire, 2800, but also it can go up to 3000 when you run the home defense setup. If you run crowd control, it only goes down to like 2400, which still completely destroys everything else. Originally, the fastest one was the DBV 410 with 1000, but obviously that is nowhere near the E-gun. E-gun still kind of sucks, but it is very fast firing, I guess. Now for LMG, we have a tie between the MG3 and the RPK-12. We're going to use the MG3 because the RPK-12 is that 1000 RPM burst, which I've talked about on multiple guns because AK-12 variants tend to be pretty fast RPM with their burst, but this is automatic and it doesn't have any kind of burst delay or anything, so it just fires at 1000 RPM, which as you can probably tell is very fast. This gun used to be pretty broken. It's very inconvenient to use, and that's why I don't really like it that much, but it has very high suppression, which yeah, it kind of sucks. The suppression is so good that during double XP a couple of times, I would use it only to suppress enemies and get extra points, and I ranked up a ton doing that. However, it is just very inconvenient. It doesn't really do a ton of damage. Since it fires so fast but only has a 50-round mag instead of 100 like most LMGs, it dumps its magazine faster than any LMG in the entire game. And it also has some of the longer reloads of the LMGs, like it's a belt-fed one, which means it takes a really long time to actually get an empty reload or even like a tactical reload on. Like I think like 7 seconds. Like look at this. How am I still alive? Okay, he's good. Oh my gosh, dude, stop. Let me reload. Okay, let's just sit here. This is how long it takes. Like, I'm not even going to cut that out because that's how long it takes and it's very annoying. Now for DMR, you might think it's the VSS Ventores at 700 RPM and you'd be right except for conversions. The Beowulf TCR has a 556 conversion that has 800. However, it's a semi-auto gun. But yeah, it's funny that a full auto gun has less RPM than a semi-auto gun in the DMR category. Other than that, it would be the VSS, I believe, but this gun really sucks. It's going to get a buff. 556 really just isn't that good though. In my opinion, like the default gun, in my opinion, is very good, but I hate 556. It's not like, it's basically an SL8 that just doesn't do any damage. People complain about the SL8 for being very, very low damage. And for a DMR, yes, it is, but it's actually more damage than this gun is. So I hate this thing. It's like a 3-shot to a 5-shot. Yes, it can 2-hit head, and yes, it can technically 4-hit if every single shot is a torso at range. But it just feels so to use that I don't really want to use it. When they buff it, it will be better. Obviously, I talked about that in my video on it, but I would not really recommend you use that because the default TCR is very, very good. Some people will say WAT 2K is the highest RPM sniper rifle, but you might be forgetting a certain conversion on the SVU. This is the SVU auto. It is very, very fast, especially considering it's a sniper rifle. It's only 650 RPM, which is quite a bit lower than literally every other gun on this entire list, but it's a sniper rifle, which sniper rifles are not known for their high RPM, so this is way faster. This is like 6 times the other sniper rifle RPM, except for like the default SVU, I think is the highest, but it has a conversion to make it even higher. The default SVU is very good. It can headshot kill, and it has like similar hits to the SVU auto, but the SVU auto has way more recoil, not quite as good damage, but similar hits to kill, just like really bad damage ranges, and also it's a 3-hit at range instead of a 2. However, the SVU auto, despite all its problems, is very, very fast. Makes your RPM about 4.5 times as fast as the default gun. So theoretically, you could use it as a tap fire gun, although it does have quite a bit of recoil. You could tap fire it faster than the SVU technically, but I don't really see that happening because like the RPM is kind of weird and you can't put it on semi-auto with SVU auto. It's like the M231 where like pulling down is not just helpful, it's very necessary to make this kill at any range above like 2 studs. And even tap firing this thing is very difficult. But overall, I love this conversion and I've made a full video on how it's actually balanced and like very, very strong, but very difficult to even get one kill with. Probably one of my favorite snipers and maybe like my favorite conversion in the entire game because it does something that the other fast firing DMRs and sniper rifles can't do, which is it can headshot kill. Like the ECR and the VSS, they can't do that, but this can one-shot headshot and actually to a pretty decent range of like at least 60 studs, maybe like 80 or something, I don't know. Onto pistols though, we have of course the Zip 22 at 1000 RPM. There are other fast firing semi-auto pistols, but not as fast as this. I think the one behind is the 5.7 at 800, and then the other pistols at like 780 down to maybe 500 to 400. Now the Zip 22 sucks. I don't really like it. I mean, I just one-tapped with the Zip. What? If you played this game even like one time or watched one video on this game, you probably know about the Zip, so I'm not really going to go into too much detail. 50-round mag if you wanted to have one, but like other than headshots, the damage is awful. I don't know how I'm getting any kills, but I'm just going to F5. You guys know the drill with this gun. Machine pistol is another obvious one. It's the tec-9. I think I forgot about SMGs though. What the heck? Why would I forget about PDWs? It's like my favorite class. When you use like long barrel and extended mag and stuff, the tec-9 has like an awful walk speed. Like, look at this. This is so bad. I'm glad I can M-slide, man. Otherwise, this would be really just awful. And I already got shot by a ballistics tracker intervention. Anyways, this is another one you guys know the drill with. For the SMG, though, the highest RPM one is the Thompson with the 1919 conversion. This has the same RPM as the tec-9 at 1500. However, the damage is pretty good. It can even 2-shot headshot, which even the M231 can't do. But the recoil is kind of awful. The damage range is kind of awful. The magazine capacity is only 20. And if you want a bigger magazine, you actually like have to basically unequip it. You have to choose between the drum mag or the high RPM, and like not a very good conversion. If it had like a 30-round mag, that would be pretty funny. Maybe broken, but I would want to see this gun like get its time to shine. I don't think it was ever really viable at any point in this game's history. For some reason, last game I was running muzzle boosters, so that's why it had so much recoil. It doesn't have that much normally. With muzzle brake, this is the recoil. Still pretty awful. Maybe comp is better, honestly. That's a lot of horizontal G's. So just pull down and use comp, I guess. But muzzle brake is better for like that initial spray, I guess. Not really. 1500 RPM though. It fires very fast. Tec-9 RPM, but can 3-shot kill and 2-shot headshot. And has a pretty fast reload time as well. Faster than the Tec-9, I think. And it dispatches people in like 0.04 seconds, I think. But then we have the highest RPM revolver, which as you can see was the MP412 Rex. The Rex is tied with like Mateba and stuff, but I really like the Rex, so that's why I'm going to use the Rex. Recently, they buffed this thing, like, not that recently, I guess, like a couple months ago, but basically they just made the recoil better and the reload faster, and that was enough to make this thing really, really strong. Before, it had the same recovery speed, so like the recoil was theoretically about the same, but the recoil itself was a lot higher, so it would kick up really fast but come down really fast, and now it just doesn't kick up that much and comes down really fast, so it's great for tap firing and great for spraying. Honestly, this is a very, very strong gun. If you can hit your headshots, it's good, and if you can spam, it's good, and if you can do both, it's great. It's probably my favorite revolver. I don't really care about revolvers. Never really been a big fan of them, but 1858 I used because it was broken. And MP412 Rex, I mean, I actually just like it. Last up we have Other, which is another kind of same thing as shotguns, where it's either the coil gun or the sawed-off, and we can talk about the sawed-off first. Sawed-off is basically the same thing as the Stevens, however, it's kind of not that good. I guess it reloads faster, which is kind of helpful, but overall, even on burst, it has like an awful like ability to just not one-shot. You will hit marker a lot. Even though on burst it only has one shot, it just doesn't really feel like that much better in terms of damage to like other secondary shotguns. Like most of them would kill at that range if I was being pretty accurate. I guess it's nice because like you can barrel stuff people, and I think when they made the reload faster they changed the spread, but overall not a crazy good secondary. It's really fun to use. I think I have like 200 kills on it, which makes it I think my highest skill Other, except for like Serbu. I used the Serbu a lot when I was like a low ranked player, but just got out Stevens. Then for our other, we have a gun known as the E-gun. It can have the same RPM as the coil gun at 3000, and it has that thing at the end where it spins. Oh, that's so cool. That's a reference to the original E-gun, dude, and the original GSP. Fun fact, these guns used to not have reload animations. When they first came out, they would just spin. Very funny, but now they actually have reloads, but I guess the inspect animation is like a reference to back when they first came out and they didn't have reload animations, which is really cool. That's a cool feature, but I made a best setup on this gun in a video. It's literally called coil gun best setup, so if you guys want to see the best setup on the coil gun, this setup is very good, but there's other options you can have. This thing is actually pretty solid. I'd say it's probably better than the E-gun, which is funny considering like E-gun is the primary one. This has like silver discs and stuff to allow it to wallbang and do more damage and have higher velocity. I don't know how silver discs are even balanced. Overall, this sawed-off has more RPM at infinity, but if you don't count that, this can have up to 3000 and even like 1000 RPM on auto, so basically more either way, because I don't think there's anything close in the others. Anyways, for the highest RPM melee, we have the cutter. Just kidding. Anyways, gamers, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and sub, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.